Yes, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Ward 5 Forum. I'm Peter Somsich, and I'm the co-chair of the Citywide Neighborhood Committee, together with Elaine Apatang. And we welcome you here. And just a brief comment about the Citywide Neighborhood Committee forums. We have been doing this for quite a while. Mainly Lori has been in charge of doing this, and she'll be moderating the event tonight. But the whole idea of it is giving residents from each ward an opportunity to speak about the issues of concern in their ward and speak directly to members of the city staff, where we can have a discussion about it. It's not just a one-way directional discussion, it's a back and forth, and we learn a lot about your concerns, and they learn a lot about your concerns, and we hear what the issues are on the city side. So that being said, let me also tell you about two upcoming meetings next week. On October 17th at the library, we're going to have a sponsoring a event on the New Hampshire housing shortage. You know, the issue of affordable housing and single-family zoning issues. This is going to be a presentation by the senior attorney at the Municipal Association, New Hampshire Municipal Association, who has given talk in many places in the state, outlining the issues that affect housing in New Hampshire. And the second event is on the 19th. That's the first one's going to be at the library. On the 19th, we're having a Citywide Neighborhood Committee, a regular committee meeting of our committee here at the City Hall. I think both events are at 6:30. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. So just to let you know, we made a big effort to reach out to the New Hampshire Municipal Association because of the constant discussion regarding affordable housing, zoning, and issues like that. And I think you'll be very interested to hear what they have to say. So I'm going to turn this over to Lori Sellaway to moderate the meeting today.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm glad that we're all here. And you all found it because we changed the room in the last minute. So anyway, here we are. So right now I do have, I think I'm going to introduce Rochelle Jones, who has this, our guest of honor, Mason. Mason's the comfort dog that the police department have brought him in. Isn't he lovely? He is fabulous. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, so I'm Detective Rochelle Jones. I've been with the police department for 21 years, and I'm the community outreach coordinator. I'm also Mason's comfort dog handler and training. So Mason is a rescue dog. He is a comfort dog in training through Hero Pups. He's 11 months old, and so he's going to be here with the department, and he's going to help with things like making you smile. Officer wellness, and he's also going to help out with things like victim interviews. And he's also going to be available for community events like this so that people can meet him. He is here for the community. So, and that's also his trainer. Come here, cutie. It's like anything he does is amazing, right? Good boy. Down. Good boy. Ooh, we're up. All right. And you're absolutely welcome to come and say hello to him. If you get your face close to him, he's probably going to lick and kiss you. And he would be offended if you didn't.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
That's great.
Thank you for
Hi,
having
Mason.
us.
And thank you, Mason, for coming.
Thanks, Rochelle. Thanks, Rochelle.
Say hi. Push your arm up. Say hi. Say hello. Say hello.
My dog's jealous.
We're going to go down the line and say hi to everybody.
You know that, man. That's your boss. We want to be real nice and cheap. Come on. There you go. Good boy. Come say hello.
Hey, no.
Oh, he's coming. He's coming back.
You smell like that? No?
Hi, baby. Good boy. You love it.
So anyway, for people who haven't been here before, this is Ward 5 Forum, and it's your time to ask any of our city officials any question you want about safety conditions, safety issues, public works projects, budget, taxes, other issues facing the city residents, or anything that you really want to. They're pretty candid about when you ask questions. It's not like a hidden secret or anything, and this is why it works so well. People get to get questions answered and find out who our people are, and it's really I think it's a fabulous program, and it still works, and as long as it still works, we're going to keep it going. So what I'd like to do is, let me see, let's start with, so everybody's going to get an opening remark. That's what they're going to do, and they're going to talk about what's going on in their department. And we're going to start with the mayor. Would you like to, if you wanted to say a few words, you're more than welcome.
Sure. Most of the questions are usually for the chief or for Peter.
Yeah,
But
we're going to get to all of
with
them.
the we have our municipal elections coming up on the 7th. Make sure everyone is coming out to vote. Tomorrow night in these chambers, we will have Voters for Education City Council candidate forum. I see Councilor Cook here this evening. I also see Peter Huda, Peter Whalen, Paige Trace, Esther Kennedy. Am I missing any candidates? And John Tabor, he's going to get to talk in a second. But it's really important that everybody gets out to vote. We're looking forward to that. And tonight, just looking forward to hearing all of the questions that everyone has. And I would like to thank you, Lori and Peter, for organizing these across the city of Portsmouth over the last 2 years. They were a lot of fun. The questions are always insightful. There's not a lot of softballs, but the conversations are, why we all love Portsmouth so much. So thank you for all the effort that goes into this, along with the rest of the neighborhood committee. I see Elaine and Fred sitting right there. So thank you all.
Thank you. So John Tabor. John Tabor's in the city council, and he's a member of the citywide neighborhood.
Right. Yeah, I have the
Wait,
privilege
no
of
microphone.
being this council liaison to the Citywide Neighborhoods Committee. And Citywide Neighborhoods Committee really represents all of the different neighborhood groups. And we have strong associations like Friends of the South End, but we have lots of other smaller associations around the city. They're active. They're really active when we have National Night Out. And that was a great success this year. Again, we really wanted each neighborhood's event to be walkable. You could go out your door and walk to the event and see your neighbors and have food and enjoy yourself. And Elwyn Park again had a band. So, and the other thing the Neighborhoods Committee has coming up is the Christmas decorating contest. So that'll be exciting too.
Oh, right, okay. I just had to check.
Thank you.
I should know.
All right, so now this is, we're going to hear from, we're going to start with Karen Kennard. Everybody's going to be, all the panels are going to be going through and giving a brief view of what's going on in their department, just, as an introduction. And then we're going to have the question and answer period. And at that time, I'm going to be handing, whoever wants to speak, raise your hand, and I'll bring the microphone over. Oh, you can't hear me. Now you can hear me. Now I can hear me, too.
Great. Thank you, Lori.
Okay, so-
Hi there. For those of you I haven't met before, my name is Karen Conard. I'm the city manager. I'm coming up on 4 years, if you can believe that. I've been a resident for over 3 years. I'm proud to be here, proud to answer any questions you may have, softballs or not, and happy to learn what's on your mind.
Good evening. My name is Peter Rice. I'm the Director of Public Works, and it's a pleasure to see you all. As Lori said, this is a great opportunity for exchanges with the residents, and I look forward to these because it's a really good opportunity for me to hear directly from residents. However, there are some alternative ways to access the Department of Public Works. we have I have actually an outreach list on the table out there if you want to grab one. It lists the different things, and there's a QR code that gets you right to the city's website. But you can access our work order system by either directly calling the department at 603-427-1530, and you can speak to our attendant during business hours, or you could go online and register to use what's called the Portsmouth Click and Fix. It's a automated system to get right into our work order system. It's a great access for us because it creates a ticket or a number that's associated with a request, and it helps us track the information relatively easily and quickly. The other means of accessing what we do is through either a traffic calming request, which is a form you would fill out either on the web or you could call directly and make a request. But there's a process to go through when you're asking to do an improvement to traffic. Traffic calming is a technique that is used to reduce speeds, to improve safety for pedestrians, as well as motorists. So that's something that is available either through the city's website or calling and speaking to our traffic engineer. And then finally, there's the resident capital improvement request form, which you can get through the city's website. But you could also call, again, to our dispatch and make a request that way as well. The department is made up of 6 divisions: water, sewer, stormwater, parking, parks, and highway. There's probably the most visible aspects of what we do is our trash collection, and you see our guys on a weekly basis. So they're most front and center, but a lot of the things you use every day, our department provides. I'm very proud of the work my staff does, and we try to be responsive. It's challenging sometimes to be able to address everybody's needs and concerns, but we try. So, thank you.
Yeah, sure, go right ahead. We'll
my
just
name-
go right down the line.
Okay. I'm Nancy Noveline Clayberg. I have the honor of being the chair of the Portsmouth School Board. I've had this position for the past 2 years, and we also have elections coming up on November 7th. We have 4. We have staggered terms on the school board. 5 get elected in 1 2-year period, and then 4 get elected in the next 2-year period. So this time we have 4 openings, so please go out and vote. We had a forum last week, and tomorrow night, as the mayor said, we'll have the city council forum. The school department takes up half of the city budget. So we're very grateful to the city for the support that we've had in the council for our budget. We like to think we spend it well, we spend it wisely. We have 2,500 students in our system. We have students, as you know, from Portsmouth, of course, but our high school also has Greenland, Rye, Newington, Newcastle. Our middle school has Newington and Newcastle. So we get students. Actually, our population at Portsmouth High is almost 40% of the surrounding towns. So we get quite a lot of support from Greenland, Rye, Newington, Newcastle. Just an interesting fact, I just was reviewing some of my notes before I came. We have 32 different languages that are spoken in our school system. You wouldn't think there would be that many in Portsmouth, but we have 4 English as a second language teachers that work with these students to help them navigate through the day and learn English and be able to be successful in our schools. We have, as you probably know, we have 3 elementary schools: New Franklin, Little Harbor, and Dondero. We have 1 middle school, 1 high school. We have alternative high school called the Lister Academy, and that's right now located at the Sherburne site, but it will be moving to community campus. Again, thank you to the city for the cooperation we had from them in being able to move our alternative high school to the community campus. Thank you, Karen. Karen was really involved with that too. So we're very excited about that. As I'm sure many of you know, the Sherburne School is not in the best shape to operate a school at, and so we're gladly happy that the city is now taking over that building, and we'll all follow that closely, what the outcome will be. But anyway, we're thankful that we're moving to the community campus. Just a couple of highlights. Right now, our football team at Portsmouth High School is undefeated. So if anyone wants to have some excitement on Friday night, please go to a football game. This past weekend, we had an alumni band event where we always have alumni from our Portsmouth High School band that come back to Portsmouth to perform in various events. If anybody went to the Portsmouth 400 parade in June, we had 250 alumni band members participate with our high school band in that parade, and it was awesome. I'm sure many of you saw it, and it was sort of, I think, the biggest event of the parade, but I'm prejudiced. But anyway, we're very proud of that. Our debate team starts this weekend, I believe, and they're an award-winning debate team from our Portsmouth High School extracurricular activities. So we're proud of so many of the events and the happenings that occur in our schools. Academically, our test scores, we're always above the New Hampshire average for test scores. We recently, Dondero Elementary School received a wonderful award. They were voted in a national selection, the top 3 elementary schools in New Hampshire. There was Bedford, Dondero, school in Bedford, Dondero, and I forget where the other one was. But anyway, there were 3, and it was, what was it? Oh, okay. I can't remember. I should. But anyway, so we're very proud of that distinction that Dondero School got, and New Franklin has received that in the past. So we're always getting our palms kind of greased a little bit with these awards, and we're very proud of that. So I guess I'll stop there. If anybody has any questions as we proceed through the night, please let me know.
I'm good. Yeah. I want to hear from you, Chief.
All right. I'm Mark Newport. I'm the Chief of Police here in Portsmouth. I've been the Chief approaching 3 years now. What's going on with the Police Department is we just recently got a new contract, which is helping address our biggest need right now, and that's recruiting and retention for both police officers and dispatchers. We are down significantly with police officers. We're budgeted for 70 officers, and right now we have 63. As fast as we hire them, we have people retiring, and we've hired approximately 15 police officers in the last year and a half, which is a huge number. We're battling everybody across the country for good police officers, a small pool of candidates. People aren't banging down the door, looking to be police officers nowadays, so it's very difficult. And we're hoping that the new contracts, the support of the council, the manager, and our community will help us in attracting more candidates. Next thing we have that we are fortunate to be able to bring on to addition to our department other than Mason is a social worker, which we're in the process of hiring right now. So that'll be a good addition to help deal with the mental health and addiction problems and juvenile issues that we consistently deal with the police department. Behind the scenes, we were approved in the CIP last year for a new computer-aided dispatch system, which is our operating system as a department. We haven't replaced it since like 2001, so that is currently in the process of being built, and we hope to have probably online probably in about a year by the time it's completely built and functional. So we're working on that, and then what I'm hoping to hear from some of you, especially because 3 of the 5 sites are in Ward 5, is working on a new police station. So, and any updates that you guys want on that is on our webpage, and it has its own website, but there's a link on our website to go to that with any questions that anybody may have.
Thank you, Chief.
Good evening, Jason Janae, the Assistant Fire Chief here in Portsmouth. I've been in this position for just about a year now, a little over a year. We've been busy at the fire stations as well. Like the Chief said, with the approval of the new contracts, we've been able to attract more candidates. And I'm pleased to say that in 2 weeks we'll be at full staffing for the first time since 2016. So it's been a long road trying to get our staffing back up to where it should be and reduce the impact on the budget by having a full complement of personnel. We have fire and EMS, which everybody's familiar with, our prevention services that we provide with the Fire Prevention Bureau. They're very busy. It's no surprise with all the construction and building that goes on that they're out doing inspections, maintaining place of assembly inspections on an annual basis, for every place that is classified as a place of assembly. So that keeps them busy day in and day out. We're looking to bring more technology into the stations and into the apparatus as well, piggybacking off of the CAD software that is going to be implemented in dispatch in the next year. We're actually able to start rolling out some of those processes now, which will reduce the work that needs to be done as far as doing our payroll, making our daily rosters, and getting call information out to the trucks and our tablets, and getting that information while en route in a timely manner for our responding personnel.
Thank you. All right. So now we're in the question and answer period. And if anyone has any questions, just raise your hand. I'll bring the microphone over. There you go. It should be on.
Hi, my name is Peter Huda, 280 South Street. My question is for the fire department. Since you will be at full staff, as you just said, in about 2 weeks, could you tell us the status of the third ambulance that would be out at Pease? I know it was in the CIP, and I thought it was paid for. Is it in service yet, or do you intend to put it in service when you have the rest of the crew on? Thank you.
Certainly. So we currently have 3 ambulances. We have purchased a 4th ambulance. We ordered that last year. We're hoping it'll be in by next summer. We're seeing about a 2-year delivery date for ambulances, fire apparatus, so there's still a significant backlog and delays in obtaining that equipment. Once we achieve our staffing of 15 per shift, the goal is to have that ambulance staffed 24 hours a day. Right now, because we don't, with the overtime implications, we'll drop down to 14 personnel. And when that occurs, we don't staff that third ambulance. But once we get up to the full force of 15 per shift, the intention is to maintain that ambulance on the road.
So the next question would be, what will be the increase in staff when you do acquire the 4th one then? And where will that ambulance actually go?
So there wouldn't be an increase in staff with that 4th ambulance. That 4th ambulance is so that we have a reserve ambulance. So if we have to take an ambulance out of service for maintenance service, something breaks, we have an ambulance to put into that slot and staff it as we normally would on day-to-day operations.
Thank you.
Who else has a question? Okay, great.
Kathleen Logan. I don't even know who to address this to, but I have a question about building permits. And I'm in the middle of trying to repair a roof. And I found out I need to get a building permit for this, which was a big surprise to me. And so I had to come up to City Hall to do this because I'm a regular person. I have no idea how to fill out this form. And I asked how long it would be to get the permit, and she said about 2 weeks. And I know of a friend who had took 28 days. The roofers are ready to come next week. On the process for the building permit, there's about 15 steps on the left-hand side of the permit application. A week and a half into this, we've moved 1 step. So I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm just wondering if there's a way that we can't speed up things like this for homeowners. I mean, I've got shingles missing, and I want to get this done certainly before the winter comes in. And I don't like the idea of waiting weeks for just the permit. You know how hard it is to get workers to even do the work. So I'm just wondering if we can't sort of speed that up a little bit.
I can take that, Kathleen. We have a strong and a full complement of inspectors now. We have a online permitting system, but it's fair to say that the average homeowner that doesn't do a project all the time may not be familiar with how the process works. So what I will do is stay after with me, and I'll take down your information, and I'll speak to the inspector and find out where things are.
Okay.
And typically, a roofing contractor or other contractor would know how to walk the homeowner or the person who owns the property through the process, but I want to make sure you don't get lost in
Well, I know I'm in the
contractor.
process correctly. It's just that there's so many steps that the city has to go through
Yep.
to get the permit approved,
Right.
which is kind of crazy to me, but that's where the holdup is right now.
I'll speak with you after, and it's hard to remember this when timeliness is of the issue, but the main concern of the building inspection team that works in works closely with the fire inspection folks is safety, and so that we want to make sure that safety is at the forefront. So I'll help you out right after this.
Thank you.
Just one additional point on that. The Shanti Wolf, who is now our head of building inspectors, instituted office hours. I was trying to think about when it is. I think it's so you can go in and ask questions. Office hours for the inspection department, ask questions of Shanti. Typically, this is, or of the building inspectors. Typically, there is the builder would know this, and having a roof. I guess is this because you're in the historic district? Okay, because typically to replace a roof doesn't require a building permit. But understanding all of that, obviously, you hope to not replace your roof more than, every 30 years or so. So it's sometimes difficult, but Shanti is, I've been impressed in terms of the way that he's trying to get folks to yes. Obviously, there's still a lot of paperwork that has to go through, and the city manager, as she said, will certainly help you with that.
And I'm glad the mayor mentioned office hours. The inspectors always have folks in the office to answer questions on a walk-in basis on Mondays from 8 to 10 a.m. and 5 to 6 p.m. Mondays are late day. Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, they're also there 8 to 10. So Wednesday's the only day they don't take walk-ins.
They were actually helpful to fill out the form.
Good.
It's just that the process to get from once that's submitted, it's quite a long time.
Good evening, Paige Trace. I believe, as the mayor has alluded to, having served on the HDC, there is a form, perhaps, if it still exists, that a homeowner, if they're replacing like in kind in the historic district, don't necessarily need a permit to do so. I'm going to defer to the mayor, but I believe that.
Don't defer to me. I'm the HDC, guys.
I am.
I don't live in it. They extended it to my dad's house, but I'm out of it.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Esther Kennedy. And my question is about South Meeting House. We have heard a lot of stuff. There's been a lot of rumblings. People are moving out. There's been a dumpster. And people are just really kind of getting anxious about what's going to be happening there. So I'm hoping that we can get some explanation tonight, where it's going, what will community have involvement. I know as a community, we raised a lot of money to refurbish that place with a bell tower and a roof and painting. And we were promised that it was going to be kept by the people staying there and that it was going to be kept up. And right now it looks like it needs some help. So I would like to hear an update about that. I think a lot of neighbors would. It was a major point of discussion this past Monday when people came down to my house for a visit to meet the counselors. And so I'm hoping that we can get some idea of what's going on there.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm happy to tackle that. As you all know, Portsmouth Public TV has been a longtime tenant of the South Meeting House, and I believe it was May we chose not to renew their lease on an annual basis and to work with them to relocate them to more appropriate space. And it's my understanding by the end of this month they will be out of the South Meeting House, and that's why you saw the moving truck and or the dumpster. They have secured really two places, one where they can hold their license and their Comcast drop information, and that will stay in Portsmouth proper, and their production space will be in the former Fox Run Mall space over in Newington. So it's my understanding, and I haven't heard differently in the last couple of weeks, that they will be out of the building by the end of this month. Once they're out of the building, it's up to Peter and his team to make sure the building is secure. There are a number of improvements that would need to be made to really properly winterize or make the space properly habitable. So what we need to do is do a thorough assessment of what it would take to tighten up the building. First blush involves new windows, storms, and some painting work. But I think what would be on the near-term horizon is a conversation with the community about future uses at the site.
Thank you. Anybody else have a question? Oh, sorry. Hello. Thanks. You want to ask a question?
Okay. Hi, I'm Jim Lamond, and if it's okay, I'll sit. I don't mean any disrespect. I'm here concerning the possible location of the police station at Clough-Field. And so I was hoping to hear more about the prospect of that happening so that we can perhaps get together the type of, if there are people who oppose that as we do, that we know what we're facing and what the next steps are. We live over on Haven Road, so it's literally in our backyard, and it's a great neighborhood. We've got the school there and the fields there, and I've been there 20 years. We've been there 20 years. It's a well-used field. It's did some research. It's opened in 1963, dedicated to the longtime custodian, Mr. Clough, at the Haven School. There's a ton of history there. And the time that we've been there, it's been used every year for various groups. Kids are there all the time. The middle school uses it for its interscholastic games. Adults use it for soccer. We've had all kinds of uses for that field over time. So it would be something that would be a tremendous loss to the city if it were to be sacrificed. And I say that as a strong police supporter. I represent police officer unions in Massachusetts in many cities and towns, and we are strongly in favor of a safe and an effective workspace for the department. So it's not in any way opposition to the police getting what we need to allow them to do their jobs, but it's about where it goes. And so I guess I'd like to hear a little bit more about that. And one I guess sort of question is, it seems like the field of places has been limited to spots that the city currently owns, and I suppose the idea is you don't have to pay any money then to place it down there. I'd ask ultimately the decision makers to consider nothing's free, and if you were to give up Clough-Field, I suppose some consultant, someone can put a dollar value on that. And so if we're thinking about what is the right next step, let's not undervalue the places that are under consideration right now. I hate to see it lost for any number of reasons. But that's what has brought me here. Love Ward 5. Peter, Click and Fix, awesome job. You click it, they come and they take care of stuff. It's awesome. We've loved being here, and we hope to have a more meaningful discussion going forward about how to get the police the kind of facility they need. So that's my question, my comments.
If I could speak to that, and the chief as well. We're both on the working group with Peter Rice. I would say the Clough-Field option is a middle-of-the-pack option. We're keenly aware that we'd have kids and parents using that crosswalk twice a day intensively, and getting emergency vehicles in and out of that poses a significant, and the pros and cons, that's a big con. We have other sites that, in my opinion at least, rise to the top more than that. But we have to look at all of the city sites. And yes, we are looking at using city sites, unless someone would like to donate a nice 1 acre parcel.
Just to add to that is, I personally, or the police department doesn't feel people are opposed to police if they speak up and are for or against where the location. We're looking at all locations. Obviously, there's no perfect location in the city, because if there was, we'd be there. So we're looking for feedback. We've heard, similar feedback to what you said from several people. But, we hear that from many different sites as well. So at the end of the day, there is no preference on where we're going right now. We're still going through all the steps of looking at different sites and maybe at some point in time, there is a site that the city doesn't own that rises to the level, but we haven't got there yet, and we're just taking step by step.
And just to add, for technical next step, it's the 18th of November. So 13th of November. So it will be after the election. We're going to have a working group meet here. We'll invite counselors, and if there are counselor-elects there, I think that would be an opportunity to join, and echo the sentiments of both Councilor Tabor and Chief Newport that this is going to be a long process. It's probably, I would say, as it stands, the biggest thing that we will be talking about over the next council will be talking about. It's a big deal, and to be able to hear input again on this site, other sites. Chief Newport seems to think that maybe there's some benefactor out there who's going to donate it, but looking at all the options, whether or not here. That's a big thing. We did learn the lesson in terms of falling in love with a site that we don't own before, and deciding to move there with the foundry and the problems that presents. But I think that there are many people that have already shared your opinion to at least myself, John, all of that. But it's good to continue to have folks join the conversation, and the 13th is the next opportunity to do so.
Thank you. Any?
Good evening. I'm Guy Spires. I have a question about Prescott Park. I was made aware recently about, I guess, years ago, there was a study, a plan put together, a 3-phase plan, and I was wondering if we could get an update of, are there next steps? Is the plan still going to be implemented, or that has to still be decided, et cetera?
So I could address that. Nice to see you, Guy. The plan was brought forward. It's the master plan covers the entire park. Given the cost associated with it, it was broken into phases. The first phase is intended to include the Shaw Building, raising the Shaw Building and relocating it a little bit, sliding it back, improving some of the drainage in the area, and some walkway improvements. Bringing that forward to City Council for acceptance of the approach. The concern related to the Shaw Building being left in a non-complete state, mothballed for potentially an extended period of time, was not an acceptable step. And so we were asked to step back and look at what it would take to bring the Shaw Building up to be fully functional. It included an addition, which would include some new mechanicals, an elevator, and some spaces to attempt to eliminate the trailer park that's associated with the Arts Festival in the summertime. So in order to do that, there was additional investments needed, and so we'll be coming back for consideration for funding that in this next year of capital improvements plan, and so there'll be an opportunity to speak to that. There is a Mayor's Blue Ribbon Committee that has been working on the plan, and it is moving forward, albeit not necessarily as quickly as everybody would hope, but there is additional work that needs to be done prior to making that large investment.
Anybody else has a question?
Hi, everyone. This is Elaine. I wanted to ask Nancy some more about the 32 languages. Can you give us some more information about where some of those students are from?
Yeah, I know. I don't have the book to list them all. They're from all over the world, China and several provinces in China, Asia. There are many from Asia. Of course, there's the typical Spanish, French, the Romance languages. It's really a worldwide project that we have to educate those kids and teach them English. We know that because of Pease and the influx of how many, 10,000 employees, whatever it is, many of those families are employed at Pease, And some of them are here temporarily, they're not here permanently, so, but several, the numbers have increased since the industry at Pease has increased. So that has had a lot to do with it. But no, I can't name all the languages. I cannot. Some of them I wouldn't even know how to pronounce. But one other thing that we're watching in the school department, and again, this relates somewhat to this, is the new neighborhoods that are being built all over the city, and how that's going to affect the school populations. Are we going to have to hire more teachers? Are we going to have to add classrooms, modular classrooms to some of our schools? So we're watching that very closely. As a matter of fact, last night at our meeting, we appointed an ad hoc committee to study we're not going to redistrict, but we want to examine how these neighborhoods are going to affect our schools. And if we have to, we'll redistrict, but we're hoping that we can keep the lines pretty much the way they are now. But the development of all these neighborhoods could definitely have an impact on our schools.
Thank you, Peter Somsich. This is a little bit different question, but you may know that Larry Cataldo and I met with the Recreation Board to express our concerns regarding Spinnaker Point. Spinnaker Point is a great facility, and it's very beloved by the people who attend there. And you may also know that the gym behind the main building is very busy, especially with pickleball. It's very popular. But this is a building that the city does not own but leases. And the Recreation Board did a recent survey with the needs assessment where they came to the conclusion, or the consultant recommended, that a facility, a city of our size, should have at least 2 aquatic centers. Now, we have the indoor pool over at the high school that we own, which was about to go dead for a while before it was rescued. And then we have Spinnaker Point, which we don't own. And Larry Cataldo and I were making the point that a lot of improvements on that facility that were made during the pandemic period, which were great, left out a lot of significant improvement that needed to be done. For example, on the indoor track, which in the summertime people are sweating, in the wintertime they're wearing winter coats because it's too cold, and some of the ventilation in specifically the men's locker room is terrible. Okay, so there, but people are a little worried about criticizing these things because the option might be to say, oh, let's just close this down or cancel our lease or get out of the whole situation. And Larry and I were making the case that this is a facility that, based on the needs, we should consider even purchasing. But if we're not going to purchase it, we still need to maintain it for, I think, 8 years is the lease currently, or 7 years. We would need to maintain it anyway. So if something breaks, we have to fix it. And the ventilation system and the heating, cooling on the track, that has not been fixed. That's still just as bad as ever. And we got to do one or the other. Either we're going to spend the next 7 years investing on repair work and Band-Aids, or we decide we need this facility permanently. And I bring this up particularly because there's all this talk about a new sports center, and all people getting all excited because we're going to have a brand new sports center. I'm assuming that sports center is not going to have a swimming pool or indoor track. And it's going to cost us a lot of money, and we might get an ice hockey ring out of it, which the whole area and the Seacoast will want to bring their teams to. But I think we have an incredibly important facility in Spinnaker Point, mainly for 18-year-olds and above. And the swimming is very important for seniors, and also the track is important for seniors in the winter who don't want to take a walk outside on an icy day. So I want to just throw that out to you as an issue that I'd like you to keep in mind and not forget about. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Anybody else have a question?
Lori, while you're waiting, if I see a couple folks on Zoom. If you'd like to ask a question, you're welcome to raise your virtual hand, and I can call on you.
Are we waiting for Zoom?
No, go ahead. I'll let you know.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Whale, and I live on Gate Street. This past summer, we had a pretty big issue with RV parking all throughout the South End. I had a situation on Gate Street where we had an RV park there with a trailer, and they just opened up their waste right in front of my house, right on the street. And, you know, this summer, if you walked around the South Mill Pond, there was lots of RVs parked there during the evening hours. So I'm just wondering, as a city, we've got to be proactive here, because we really don't want to turn into a RV park all through the South End. So I was just wondering, and Chief Newport, your policeman came out that day. He was very professional. They ended up towing the RV because he didn't have the proper license plate on it right off of Gate Street. But then they left the trailer there, which they towed another, you know, a little time after that. But I'm just anticipating Portsmouth is a great place to live and visit. And I just think that if we don't get ahead of these problems, you know, for next summer, we're going to have more issues moving forward. So I'd appreciate any comments. Thank you.
I can jump in on something on that. So I think that as we've enforced some of the parking restrictions that we have more, I would say thoroughly, we've seen some improvements. And then, you know, my only concern with adding new regulations, as we did down at the South End, when we put up no parking signs, they found new places to park that nobody had ever dreamed of parking before. So I think having enforcing the regulations we have at the last council meeting, I believe it was Councilor Cook had mentioned actually just painting in the lines, you know, more, you know, to demarcate more on that. And I think those are steps that the city is certainly going to investigate and look to take, with the, you know, the knowledge of if we change something, the whole thing changes, and making sure that, you know, as when I think we see more parking of RVs, especially when Walmart changed their policy towards RV parking. So want to make sure that obviously the quality of life continues to be what it is in the South End. And I think a good place to start is in enforcing the laws that we have on the books as aggressively as we can, and making sure that you know, there's a whole host of laws, like for example, you can't dump your sewage right into, you know, that's one law, you know, that we could certainly take a better enforcement on. And I know that the police department, as they've demonstrated over the summer, will continue to do so.
Yeah, the officers are great. They're very professional. Just something else on parking, you know, with the loss of 15 or 16 spots down in the South End around Geno's in that area. And, you know, we're going to be approving projects downtown. Parking is going to become more of an issue because, and Degelin, you know this, it just pushes it out into the neighborhoods. So I just think comprehensively we've got to look at a total parking solution, because I don't think we want to be building another garage somewhere. So anyway, that's just my kind of commentary on it. I don't know if you want to add to that.
Let me answer before Peter Rice says something really intelligent, and I don't want to follow it. So,
don't say something.
But Peter, when we talk, so parking is probably one of my least favorite topics. You chaired the PTS. You know, you still have a love for it, so God bless you on that. It's a difficult thing, but it also stems a lot of conversations that we have about affordability around housing. When there was talk of putting micro units down, you know, at the old auction house, the old Elks Lodge, the folks came out and pointed out correctly that if there was less parking there, it was just all going to park at Citizens Bank. And so I do think that if we're going to tackle affordability and growth, you know, so we grow together and not apart, there has to be a comprehensive parking plan. And we've looked at doing it, spot zoning it, where we're going to put a parking program here, and then it just keeps getting a little bigger and a little bigger and a little bigger. I really would like to see, you know, in the next 2 years, figuring out if there's something that we could do for a a resident-wide parking program. Maybe there's a carrot with that you get an hour free parking downtown for that for the residents. But there's got to be something that we work more towards, because of all of those things. It's people are not ridiculous when they come and speak about new housing developments and new projects, because they know that the cars are simply going to park in front of where they live. And we have no option to say, hey, you're building a 12 unit and you say, only 6 of them are going to have cars. We have no way to enforce that. So I do think that it would align some of the goals that we have in the city with a larger, more comprehensive, and it's definitely one of the hardest things to do, because it's a very personal thing, and it's going to be a change. I'm hoping there's a way that we can do it where it's more inclusive and results in a better product. But I'll try not to hold my breath on that. It's going to be tough.
Great answer, Declan. Thanks.
So just to follow up on the mayor's point, the city is currently undertaking a parking master plan, and there will be a public input meeting, I believe, 2 days after the police facility meeting. So it's the November 15th. That meeting will be an opportunity for folks to have comment. It's going to focus mainly on the parking principles, which are kind of guidelines or guardrails to inform policy decisions. So it's a great opportunity to look at that. And just one thing to clarify or to correct. I know it feels whenever you lose a couple parking spaces or it's not insignificant to a neighborhood, especially down on Mechanic Street. Although the majority of the spaces that are felt as lost, they were not technically allowed as parking spaces. Really, the changes made were approximately 3 to 4 spaces across from Geno's that would be lost. And I'm not diminishing the loss of any parking in that area, but I'm just saying, it's not 15 spaces. It feels like 15, but it's not.
We started enforcing it, so that's where it feels.
I just wanted to follow up on the parking issue, because I just came back from Europe, and I was in Heidelberg, Germany, which is my favorite city because I got married there and my 2 children were born there, and I have lots of friends there. And when I stayed at a local hotel there, the hotel said, okay, there is no parking here for you on the streets. It's only for residents. You can stop, unload, and we'll tell you where the closest parking house is, which is like 100 yards away, and you need to park your car there. So I think following up a little bit on what Larry Cataldo for a while was trying to do in his neighborhood was, I think the point that we have to make, I think, is making sure residents feel that we put them first, ahead of tourists, for example. And I was a tourist in Heidelberg. I couldn't park on the street near my hotel because it was for permit only for residents. And I think we need to look at the fact that we are also a tourist city, and when people come to Portsmouth, I don't think they should be parking in the neighborhoods. We have a parking garage that's almost half empty all the time. And we should say, no, you can't park there. That's for residents only. Here's a parking garage. It's half empty. We don't need another one anyway because it's still half empty. So I think we need to look at that concept, and because we're attracting a lot of people, and the neighborhoods are rightfully concerned about not being able to park near their homes if they don't have off-street parking. Thank you.
Lori?
Good evening. I just have a point of clarification on Mechanic Street. There were 4 across from Geno's. There are 2 along the water. There was 1 up by Glenn's. There are 2 on Pickering Ave. And I know some of those were out there, but I just want to, I think there's a discrepancy there in numbers. And it definitely did affect situations down there. And I think we have to look, and when we look at parking, we need to look at parking for different times of year. And I think as you go through this process, I hope you look at the 2011 parking plan that we spent a lot of money on. but also think about different times of seasons and what is taking effect in those neighborhoods. Because I do believe the two on Pickering Ave probably could be opened up, and one at least along the water could be opened up, and it would not affect a thing, but that would be 3 more spots. So as we go through the process, I do hope we think about what the use is and when it's used the most. Thank you.
I appreciate your comment, and I would encourage you to participate in that meeting coming up on the 15th of November.
Fred Buss. I'm not from Ward 5, but we don't always get all of you pulled together, so I thought it would be a good opportunity to ask Chief Newport, what is the kind of the overview of crime in our city? What's happening with what types of crimes? What is the police department concerned with? What are you guys spending your energy on or worried about?
Oh, we've definitely had an uptick of calls of service, just being busier, and we're actually busier now in the fall than we were in the summertime. As far as what we're dealing with, it's kind of across the board. I don't think there's any one thing that is more occurring more frequently than another. And we're still dealing with a lot of mental health calls, still dealing with a lot of DWIs and people not overserved. They were not overserved, but people over consuming.
Yeah.
I'm the lawyer watching this.
When people have too much to drink, they tend to do things that they wouldn't normally do. So that consumes a lot of our time. But at the end of the day, I don't think there's an uptick of any type of specific crime. I think we're just overall crime across the board is just busy, and a lot of it is generally like quality of life type crimes, and that we don't have a lot of serious violent crime here, which we're very fortunate. But we are busy.
Yeah, I'm sure. Has I don't know where we would address this, but we've been working with some of the nonprofits that have discussed the increase in homelessness and how that's been affecting the city and affecting the services they provide. Could maybe one or several of you respond to that relative to where they are? And there's that very delicate balance of wanting to find places for these people to be taken care of and helped in all the ways that they need to, and also the community feeling safe while that happens. And I'm not sure the balance, how you're handling that.
I can just say on our end, I mean, there are several homeless people throughout the city. We're fortunate here that, generally you're not going to see people sleeping on park benches and, taking over sidewalks. But they are scattered throughout the city in different areas. The majority of them you would not see. A lot of them are in the woods. We deal with them on occasion. But as we get into the winter, we actually work with the health department and go out and find them and try to move them to warmer locations. But the majority of the homeless people that we have in our city are homeless by preference, and usually just generally because of a mental health issue. But they want to live their own rules, and they don't want to abide by the rules that are in place for places where they can go. So that's pretty much how our homeless population is here. And, if they're not doing anything criminal-wise and, they're just maybe sitting downtown during the daytime, but they disappear at night, we're not impeding that, unless they become an issue.
Thank you. That's great.
On just a quick follow-up on the point that the Chief touched on, we are very fortunate to have a number of organizations that work very closely. Crossroads with Will Arvello being one of them does a fantastic job. Gather is an amazing resource. There's been an incredible uptick in while not homeless, the needing of food and they've created an amazing not only quote grocery store to go to, but prepared meals. They do a lot of great work at the community campus or at the Great Bay Community College, where they have discounted meals for individuals. Got a chance to see that, It's amazing. We do it whenever we can order food here. We order from their catering business that helps support that. And Ellen in the welfare department is coordinating with those resources. The other one, just on the topic of it getting colder, Operation Blessing, Tammy was able to open up with the help of the DPW, a warming shelter there. I think it's 12 beds, a shower. It's an awesome example of how this community comes together to solve problems. And the city, in that case, is simply looking to, make sure we're getting water and electrical out there, making sure those permits are delivered quickly. I know we're always working on delivering permits. That one we were lucky enough not to hit a lot of ledge on, but was an awesome example of how the city can be kind of the picture frame to the picture of a community wanting to help members in it. So that was a great thing to behold, and a lot of people made that happen. And that will be opening when temperatures drop below. Is it 32? When is it? So I think it's below 32.
32, right.
Degrees.
Yeah, I think it was 32. We were just there yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, day before. It was beautiful. The facility is fantastic. At Operation Blessing. So yeah.
I just want to add one more thought that goes relatively unspoken and unnoticed, but you can find it in our budget book every year, that through the federal HUD program of community development block grants, we receive an annual allocation that we put out in the form of direct social service grants to all the folks that the mayor's mentioned and others throughout the city that work with our welfare director and others. So.
Yeah, Elise got that and applied it to Operation Blessing. Did a fantastic job of getting those federal dollars into a really impactful project. Thanks, Fred.
Just kind of extending that, Kathleen Boda. I wondered if a bus arrived from Florida or Texas, or maybe an extension from Boston, and suddenly there was a larger number of people than we ever expected to arrive here, because maybe they're so overwhelmed in Boston, they'd say, "Come on up to Portsmouth, nice place." What would we do then?
I'll take that and maybe have Jason chime in, but the fire chief and I are the emergency management coordinator and director, if you will, followed closely and teamed up with Kim McNamara and the public health folks. Bill and I have talked about a scenario where that would happen, and we've got in both of our schedules a planning meeting to talk about exactly that.
So this is for Peter. So I live over in Ward 3 off of Ocean Road in Banfield, and I see the rail trails getting a lot of work done, and I'm just wondering what the progress looks like. I don't know the it looks like it's partially done, and there's going to be some grading done or something. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, they're ahead of schedule. They were anticipating being to the town line by this fall, and they've actually gotten the gravel to the new skateboard park, and they've grubbed and done some rough clearing all the way to the end of the trail, which is Barbary Lane. They will probably have a gravel base down for the winter, and what I understand is that they're going to be doing the final coat of stone dust in the spring. I have had the opportunity to go out on the trail a number of times, and it's all the way through Northampton. It's an amazing resource for residents. It's going to be a great resource for the folks down on your end of town, being able to access a safe, easy route to get into the downtown portion. In addition to that, we executed a contract to complete the multi-use path on Borthwick Avenue, which will allow you to go all the way into downtown to get down to Bartlett Street on a safe multi-use path. So that section should be, they should be starting additional work. The first section was done on Borthwick Ave through the hospital project. The balance of it is going to be done starting probably next week. So,
Thank
we're
you.
looking forward
It's
to it.
incredible. I have to say, I'm not sure I rode it necessarily because I think it was closed, but I looked down at, let's say,
never rode one.
okay, all right, I rode it.
My dog and I.
But it's really incredible. I can't, they've done so much so quickly.
It's great.
Yeah,
It's an amazing resource.
it is, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions? Your chance.
Just, I always like to take a chance to say thanks so much for all you do. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for being out here and asking questions. It's the best job in the world, being able to represent the city of Portsmouth, because you guys, everyone is so passionate. Sometimes their passions can get to a point where, you know, it doesn't feel like we are always friends. But as soon as every conversation or debate is over, I've just always been impressed by the amount of people that say thank you or are engaged, you know, in the municipal life, but in so many other lives. You know, Kathleen, you do a fantastic job with Friends of the South End and, you know, the Ferry House tour, which is now the center of my universe. We actually go to other places and see more of them. But we are such a great city because we're full of such great people, and you guys showing up tonight is a really big part of that. So I send it right back and thank you guys for being just great citizens. Highest office in the land.
I just wanted to say something also.
Hold on, I do think that, was it Jim, you had a question?
I just wanted to know, were there online questions that you
I don't have any virtual hands raised, so keeping an eye out.
Okay, so I just wanted to say thank you to everybody here. Really, my heart's full every time I do the ward forums. I love Portsmouth even more. Just they care. They're great answers, and it's a joy to be around. It's a great community.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, hold on. Kathleen, was there?
FOSSI, Friends of the South End, is sponsoring
Oh, that's right.
another food gathering for food collection for Gather on
Saturday, November 4th.
Saturday, November 4th, from 9 until 1, outside of the Wentworth Gardner House. So we do that twice a year. So we'd be happy to see you. Just bring some food or bring a check.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
Excellent. November 4th. Hey, Kathleen.